Hello, my fellow Mavericks. It's Dean here. Welcome back to the podcast. I have been talking to a number of business people, and in this episode, I want to devote it to something that is the biggest or one of the biggest quandaries people have on social media. What if I overshare? Now, I'm sure you've faced this challenge before of, what if I say too much? What if I give too much value and people decide that they don't want to work with me? They don't need to work with me now because I've given them so much they can go do it themselves. This is a real concern many people have, especially if you're an expert or subject matter expert or a thought leader. You know, you've got a lot to share with the world, a lot of knowledge, a lot of training, a lot of experience, and you worry about oversharing and how it could cost you. Well, let me just tell you, the teenagers and 20-somethings sharing stuff don't care about that. And this is a mindset hack, not a mindset hack. It's a mindset you have to break, because people don't hire you for your expertise. Despite all of that stuff, they don't hire you for your expertise. They hire you because they want an outcome. And the reason they hire you is for the certainty you bring about getting to that outcome. I was talking to a client today, just before recording this, and how they've picked up some major corporate clients and they were blown away by it, but they've been sharing more and more about what they do and how they do it publicly on social media. And their fear up till now was, if I say all this stuff, what am I going to do when I actually coach them? What am I actually going to do when they engage me as a client? Because I've said everything in public. I've got nothing left. I've got very little left to share that they don't already know. And I said to them, but that's not why they're coming to you. They're not coming to you for knowledge. They're not coming to you to discover something new. They're coming because they want the outcome from that knowledge. They want the transformation from that. And lots of people struggle with this is, what if I share too much and, my competitors steal it? What if I share too much and prospects see it and now they don't need me? What if, right? These are all conjecture. It's all guessing. It's all thoughts. There's no facts behind it. It's just what if. And it comes from a fear. It comes from the fear of losing out. It comes from the fear of making a mistake. And, I believe that the world is big enough and there are enough customers out in the world that most businesses can thrive and survive in whatever economy. So it comes from a mentality of lack, scarcity, that I might lose. And it's a programming in our heads that we go, I could lose out, I could miss out. And this whole process of, what if I share too much? What if I share stuff and then people don't need me? It's that same mindset. What if I do something and it makes me lose out? It's a scarcity mindset. It's a mindset that says there's not enough and you have to protect what you have. You have to protect what you have. In reality, you don't have to be so ruthless about protecting, because every time you decide not to share something for fear that it could cost you or you could lose out, there is an opportunity that somebody sees that and goes, you understand me. You see it from my perspective. You know what you're talking about. So for every time that you say, oh, I could lose, my competitor could copy and blah, 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 there's also the risk that you hide your lamp under a bushel, so to speak, and miss out because that world-changing thought or idea or technique or concept is now not being seen. And I went through this whole phase of a journey on this, that why are people buying Dean? Why are people buying Maverick? Why given that we give so much away through free webinars, through podcasts, through videos, through PDFs, through all of this stuff, why do people still to this day want to buy from us? Because, all the knowledge is there. It's the outcome. It's the outcome. Because you can take knowledge. Knowledge doesn't guarantee success. Implementation and how you put that knowledge into practice is all the success. So I can know that there are 10 steps to realize your full potential, and I can understand it. I can read about it. But to actually put those 10 steps into my life and see the benefit of those 10 steps that other people have had, I need an expert who's been successful at doing that. How do I find an expert? I find an expert either by Googling or by discovering them online in some way through content, social media, connecting, learning about them. So it's not just enough for the information, and this is where we get our heads messed up. Information is cheap. Information is cheap, right? If you go onto YouTube, Google, TikTok, LinkedIn, every channel, information and how-tos, and it's all there. Everything you can possibly think of is all there. So the only reason you need an expert is to assure yourself of the outcome, to give you confidence that you're going to get there, to give you expertise to go, I'm going to help you not make the mistakes. I'm going to help you not mess this up. I'm going to help you get there with as little friction as possible. So all of that content, all of that knowledge that you're pumping out is freely available on the internet. It's in books. It's everywhere. So you choosing not to share it is basically saying, I'm not going to be sharing anything like that for fear that that's going to cost me, when actually, if you look at all of the experts, let's just pick Tony Robbins for an example, because most people will know him, right? You can probably consume every teaching, every major thing he's got on YouTube, on blogs, it's all there, right? There's nothing new that Tony Robbins knows that we don't know. It's all there. It's all in the public domain. So why do people pay thousands to go and see him, or hundreds of thousands to get the transformation in their lives and be one-to-one mentored by Tony Robbins? Is it because they want pictures with Tony Robbins? Well, some people are crazy enough to pay that kind of money, but most people are paying it for certainty. Most people are paying it for certainty because the expertise, the transformation they've seen, the knowledge, the insight, the reputation, all of that is building to, you are the best person for the job, because I've already tasted your value in posts, in snippet videos, in all of this stuff. I've tasted the value. So I know that you're the best person for the job. But if we approach that mindset, that fear mindset, we won't do any of that stuff. We won't put the free webinars on. We won't write those free downloads. We won't write those blogs. We won't do all of that stuff, because what if somebody reads it and does it without us? What if our competitor sees it and copies it? It's coming from a place of insecurity. It's coming from a place of thinking that you are not vulnerable to your competition. And actually, one of the best ways to outmaneuver your competition is to be more prolific at adding value. In both a paid sense and in a free sense, that's how you really kind of outmaneuver the competition. So being afraid of oversharing is nothing to do with a business decision generally. It's actually more of a mindset decision. You know, I've met many, many people who have compromised and undermined their own marketing for fear, we'll call it fear, of losing out, fear of messing up. And it's such a short-term thinking. It's such narrow thinking. It comes from a mindset of I have to keep what I've got. When I started Maverick was nothing. And I had to build it and invest and invest and invest and invest to build it. And now tens of thousands of people have been through our training. Hundreds of thousands of people have been through our training. We've got an established brand across the globe, where we've got a reputation which is acknowledged even by some of the major tech platforms in terms of social selling. But that's because I've been absolutely prolific in sharing value widely and broadly, risking my competitors stealing it, risking people doing it themselves. Quick hint, by the way, if somebody wants to do it themselves, right, they're going to do it themselves. There's no amount of you withholding information that's going to get them to part with money to do it with you. It's a flawed concept, because there are some people who are wired to want to do it themselves, to want to figure it out themselves, to solve the problem without help. And they make the worst clients when you try and help them, because actually often they just dive in and they can be unmanageable. It's very difficult to actually change somebody from a DIYer to another method. So don't worry about it. But your fear, the bigger consequence of you withholding or undersharing to protect yourself, the bigger one is you miss out. So in other words, it's a double-edged sword. You not wanting to give away stuff is probably for fear of losing, is actually causing you to lose. It's actually causing you to miss out. And it's madness, but it comes from, and I know I've suffered with this for a long time, coming from a working class background where you think that everything's in short supply and you have to hold on to what you've got. You actually try and protect everything. And in reality, you have to share prolifically, add tons of value, really put yourself out there, share what you believe, share your heart, share your vision, share your expertise. And people are drawn to that, not because they want you to tell them that information one-to-one. Nobody's hiring you to tell you that information, right? Nobody is hiring you for the knowledge in your head. They're hiring you for a process to get to an end result. And when we realize we're hired for an end result, all of our actions is to show them that we have the expertise, the insight, and the experience to be able to get them to that end result. That's what it's all about. So this fear that you're holding on to, this fear of what if I say too much? What if I do this? Now, of course, if you've got trade secrets or IP and stuff, you're obviously not going to, do the whole thing. Secret inner workings of how your business works. But if there's knowledge that that will add value to your customers' worlds, share it. And they'll go, that's incredible. I need your expertise to help me. But we hide stuff. We keep it to ourselves. We protect. And that costs us revenue. That costs us value in our brand. That costs us impact into our prospects' world. We've got to prolifically overshare. Ring fence all your trade secrets, of course, but prolifically overshare, because that is the key to really showing you are the expert at what you do and giving people certainty that you can help them get an end result. So that fear, that mindset, you've got to challenge it. And yes, you can tell yourself things, but ultimately what you need to do is actually go, no, I'm not going to do this anymore, and just break the rules. Break that rule that says you can't do this because. Challenge your mindset, start sharing more, and be free with your information to gain the opportunity of people seeing your knowledge and expertise.